Let's talk about the fairness issue that is facing the Emmys now as they look into the future, and it's this. Currently, behind closed doors, the TV Academy is in discussions with ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox about the Wheel deal. And, of course, normally those four networks trade the broadcast year to year and then pay the license fee of roughly around $7 million to the Academy for the right to do it. And now they're looking forward to strike a new Wheel deal, and we've got all these other members of the Hollywood family who keep winning these awards. Major victories this year by Comedy Central, by AMC, by Showtime, by HBO, who don't get to host the Emmys. And at some point you have to say, well, wait a minute. If these networks are prestigious enough and great enough to to win all these Emmys, at what point do these members of the family get to host the actual party of the family reunion? And boy, this opens up a really interesting discussion because inevitably they're going to have to be included in the future. It's possible, for example, the TV Academy may say right now, all right, the license fee is $10 million. Everybody who wants to play, put it on the table, and then if there are 6 networks, those will be the spikes in the wheel in the future. I don't know that that's happening, but I know that this is being discussed. What do you guys think is the future of this telecast? Because it's not going to be the same old thing anymore. We know that. What happens next?
You know what? It's a bit of a worry, Tom, because if this show goes over to a network, say, for instance, TBS, like that used to air the SAG Awards, probably still does with TNT. That means it's less viewers, it's less exposure. It's not mainstream anymore. It's more compartmentalized, and it won't filter into the culture and the zeitgeist like it does now. And that's a worry, because you know what? If I was running NBC, CBS, Fox, or ABC, I'd be a little annoyed that, for instance, out of the 7 main drama categories announced last night, only 1 award was given to a network show. The rest went to cable. All the movie and miniseries went to cable. Most of the variety stuff went to cable, except for the NBC directing for Bucky Gunts, and most of the comedy stuff went to the networks. But I would be a little irritated by that, putting that on my airtime. And so this has been going on for a while now, and everyone's got their ear to the ground trying to work it out. But it's a bit of a worry for the Emmys, because it just might mean not the demise, but at least the reduction in how the Emmys filter into culture if they're going to be airing on a smaller network on cable.
But to finish this scenario, there's the Paley Center Awards that are being put together now by the broadcast channels because they want awards to go to themselves. It seems to be the main thrust behind this Emmy rival award that's in creation and we don't know enough about yet to come to a final decision. And then if you want to be really critical of what the Emmys don't do properly, and that is recognize the Internet. You know, theoretically, a Funny or Die video, let's say of 20 minutes length, should be able to compete against 30 Rock, with 22 minutes long. Technically, it's permitted to according to Emmy rules, but we know it doesn't have a realistic chance. And meanwhile, the Webby Awards are coming up on the other side of the Emmys saying, well, if you're not going to recognize this stuff, we will. And the Webby Awards are getting more and more prominence. And it can't stay the way it is right now forever. So look in the future, Chris Beachum, into your crystal ball. What do you see?
Well, I think the Academy has made some good strides in recent years. I mean, I thought the idea to go to 6 nominees, for example, across the board in most major categories was brilliant. I mean, there's so much quality out there right now that they needed to. There's no set law that says you have to only have 5. Maybe they should even have a little more. Maybe there's no reason why you couldn't have 6, 7, 8 nominees in a category if that's what you wanted to do. I am worried about it moving to another type of network. I remember, and this was in your book, Tom, on the Emmys, back when Fox was just getting started. They made that deal that they had the Emmys, 4 years in a row, maybe 4 or 5 years in a row?
Two deals of 3 years each. They were paying $3 million.
Okay, so it's about 6 years in a row total. Yeah. And when it first started on there, and Fox did not have ratings at all,
I know.
The ratings just took a huge dip. And they're higher than they are now, but there was less competition. But in terms of where they had been on the other broadcast networks, so that's going to happen if it moves to cable. I'm fearful of that. I wonder if there might be something in the middle. I mean, most of your other award shows have found a home on a network. You know, the Oscars are always ABC. The Golden Globes are NBC.
But the Oscars are film and the Golden Globes. No, this is the Oscar of television. Everyone's got to share the party. The Grammys are music, and you can put that on one network like CBS. You can do that with the Oscars. But remember, just a few years ago, maybe what was it, 10 years ago, ABC struck an exclusive deal with the Emmys, and there was all heck breaking loose, and there were boycotts, threats, and that deal had to be trashed even after it was signed and agreed to by both parties. ABC even agreed to back off of it because while that idea keeps being advanced, it's absolutely impractical given the nature of what the award is and the television industry. I'm not sure there is an answer.
But it's also impractical to think that they could share it among all the networks that have legitimate contenders. I mean, then you would be on a 14-year wheel. That wouldn't work either. I think the network that gets to host the show, regardless of whatever revenue they bring in, it is an incredible launch vehicle for their new shows. I mean, NBC ran 1,000 promos for their new shows last night, while CBS, NBC, and Fox could not do that. Right before the season starts, which was the reason the Emmys moved to this time of year anyway.
That's right. They used to be held in May in the old days, and this year, of course, they were held in August. A lot of people thought they were going to have lousy TV ratings as a result, but they pulled in 13 million people, which was pretty impressive, about what they did last year. And given the time slot problem, the calendar problem with August, that's pretty darn good.
Yeah, I think the way of the future is that a few more networks are going to come into this wheel, as you said before, Tom. There's going to be more spikes on the wheel. There'll be some cable has to be involved. I think it's almost inevitable, and whatever it may be, I just hope that the people behind the Emmys, the Academy, the producers who are appointed every year, just keep this momentum going, because last night's show was one of the best ones I've seen. The year before was just as good, so we've seen two in a row after a few woefully terrible Emmy telecasts from years prior. If we can keep this momentum going so that the Emmys can rightfully be probably the best award show on TV, rightfully, because they're honouring TV, and it's probably the fairest award show out there as well, and so entertaining. It really was. Let's not listen to all the snarky live blogging that you see on the internet that have how terrible it was, because it wasn't. They actually made an effort to entertain us, and it did. It was really, really quite well done.
I love Don Misher, I guess, has produced the Emmys quite a few years now, not necessarily all in a row, and he's going to be producing the Oscars coming up next, I guess the first time he's ever done that. He is one of the best live event producers in the business, maybe ever, and has won a ton of Emmys for it, and I just can't wait to see what he's got in store for the Oscars this year. I think he'll be a great producer of that ceremony.
Yeah, I think that he's going to probably own that ceremony moving forward in tandem with a partner who might be a little more creative, the same way that they brought in two producers last year, let's say.